Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's virtual conference. My name is Shanice Pereira and I'm your host for today. Dun& and Bradstreet, in association with Microsoft India and sa.global, are glad to present the virtual conference on the pertinent topic, Project Delivery Can Be a Breeze. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming our esteemed speakers of the day today, Mr. Kapil Gupta, Country Head India, sa.global. Kapil Gupta is India and Global Service Center Head at sa.global. Kapil is responsible for the profitable growth of sa.global's India Service Center in line with global business strategies of the group. As part of the global leadership team, Kapil also contributes towards the development of new revenue generation services across the organization. With over two decades of experience in the IT service industry, Kapil has an experience of working with global clients and has previously played various growth and P&L roles in the capacity of delivery, consulting leader, and also incubated new business practices at some of the best IT firms in the country. Welcome, Mr. Gupta. We also have with us Mr. Alok Ratan, Global Black Belt Project Cloud India, Microsoft. Alok has more than 20 years of progressive experience in strategically managing revenue generating sales management roles across the major global software and technology companies like SAP, Oracle, IFS, and Kroner. He has more than 11 years of experience in demonstrating value of project portfolio management solutions to various industry verticals. Currently involved in conceptualizing, implementing Microsoft Project Online solutions for delivery industry verticals like ITES, manufacturing, BFSI, and public sector. Welcome, Mr. Ratan. We also have with us Ms. Priyadarshini, Senior Manager, sa.global. Priyadarshini has been working in the ERP space for over 16 years and has built her expertise around the finance and project delivery domain. She is currently responsible for project management and delivery of development and implementation projects. She has been instrumental in providing inputs and managing product IPs for the professional service industries and vertical segments such as legal and architectural engineering and construction firms. Welcome, Ms. Priyadarshini. Thank you all our speakers for joining in today. Without further ado, I will now hand it over to Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Shanice. Very good introduction, and welcome Alok and Priya also on this call, and a big welcome to all the participants on this call. This has been a series of discussions that we are trying to do around various subjects. Shanice, if you could go to the next slide, please. So I think COVID times is known to kind of bring in various challenges to all of us, and we as sa.global we thought we would put together a set of kind of informative sessions, which hopefully would help you all think about the various aspects of our professional services business, and hopefully take some inputs on how, along with Microsoft and the Microsoft platforms, we could really kind of thrive within this environment. sa.global in this context, I think it makes sense for me to say here that we're a company that has been 30 years in the business, primarily focused on the Microsoft platforms. So we understand the overall Microsoft products very well. We've been working across about 20 countries with more than 800,000 ERP users who have been supported in various forms and fashions through the various engagements. We've been 10 times Microsoft Inner Circle Partner Award winner. So basically a company that's been there in the professional services industries, has been doing a lot of implementations across this particular space, and at the same time very deeply connected with Microsoft in the overall aspect of product development and as well as implementing it across with our customers. And in that context, I think our thought process was that we would probably conduct these four aspects. So we'll have sessions around these four aspects. First being looking at the kind of the financial turbulence. How do you make sure that your financials are looking strong? You have a much better visibility of your spend as well as your future financial forecasts across the various regions, countries, and entities that you may be operating in. And we did a seminar on that, and at the same time, then we had a roundtable. I would really encourage you all to look at that. I hope that the participants who brought in the knowledge from the industry would probably be useful to you as you go forward. In the same context, today the session is now mainly focused on the project delivery, because in our business, it's the projects which the clients buy from us as a service. This is where we deploy our core resources, and hence the entire aspect of operations, aspects of accuracy of these projects, and being able to deliver new services to the customers at a profitable margin is something that we all kind of thrive on. So that's the second topic, which is a very important in this journey, and hopefully this would be a good session for you. As we go forward, we would also spend some time in the next session on building up strong client relationships, because unless and until you have a delivery which is aligned to the expectations of the customer and with the changing needs, you're able to adapt to that situation in a very agile manner, it becomes difficult for you to kind of compete in the market today. And then fourth, of course, is around the talent retention, because one of the biggest challenge that faces our industry today is about getting the right talent associated to the projects and enable them in an environment which is under a constant flux, right? So how does the technology really come and help you across each of these areas is primarily our focus to bring forward. So feel free to ask questions. We will try to take some time out towards the end of the session to make sure that we can answer some of those questions, and if not, we'll definitely make effort to get back and answer your questions at a later point of time. So with that, I would like to quickly move on to the next slide, please. So this is about the project delivery in the current times. If you could go to the next slide, please. I think that's where we would like to start a discussion. So there are four aspects to this discussion today, right? We will just quickly talk about the changing market dynamics. You all are aware of it, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. I think there are certain KPIs that all of us look at. The few that we have listed here that I think should set the context for the discussion, and then I'll hand it over to Alok. He comes in with a very deep expertise in executing projects in the modern times, and he would share his perspective about what's changing, how technology can really help. And from there on, Priya would come together and really kind of bring Microsoft Dynamics 365 in live action to you, right? So hopefully some of that would give you the kind of understanding of how the project execution model is changing, why it's so important to you, and how 365 really can come in handy over there. That's precisely the agenda for the discussion. Just quickly moving forward from there, guys. So customer satisfaction, right, is by far our biggest goal. Now, customer satisfaction could be from giving the right level of service, the quality of service, which means the right people associated to the project. It could also mean that you're delivering the project at the right cost and quality, which means cost is important to you, and hence, in some sense, the customer satisfaction does get influenced by the cost that you're putting into it. And at the same time, I think being able to complete the projects in the given time itself is one of the main criteria. In the same way, I think today I think the paradigm is kind of expanding forward. Not just about time, cost, and quality. It is about the way you deliver the service. It is about the way you make yourself more outcome oriented for the customers. In one of the roundtables that we did earlier on a similar subject, one of the key things that came together was outcomes is one of the key things that the customers are looking forward to in today's time. So just going forward on that. Next slide, please. right? So we've seen that. I couldn't really find a better word, so I chose less mature organizations and highly mature organizations. But I think the perspective is that in the organizations you will see that there are the organizations lie between both of these extremes to a certain extent. In some organizations you will see that the projects are still being executed on spreadsheets. The delivery methods may not be very commonly and very kind of uniformly followed, and the project quality control and knowledge management across the projects is probably difficult. When I say this, I'm sure a lot of these statements would sound familiar to you as well, because these are the challenges that we struggle with all the time, right? And on the other side, there are organizations who have probably gone very mature in the way they execute those projects. They have a heavy technology backing to some of these aspects. They have a very good visibility of the overall project, right from quality to cost. They have a very good visibility of their utilization of resources across the company, right? And hence they are able to really utilize the multidisciplinary resources that we have in the organization far more effectively. Going next slide. And this fundamentally kind of converts to things that are basically important for a growing and a competing organization. You've got to be winning more bids, which means that you have to be very competitive in the way you approach the customers. You have to be very flexible in the way you propose your solutions and projects to them. This, of course, can happen only if the project overruns. You're able to successfully deliver, because overrun typically is not just about the cost overrun, but the bigger impact that it creates is the client satisfaction, right? The confidence that the client actually carries with you is something that gets very dramatically affected when you get into these overrun situations, and hence keeping a track of that is very important. And so is the billable utilization, because at the end of the day, this is a factor which I think any CFO or a chief operating officer would like to keep his focus on, because that's people is the real cost of our organizations. And then it goes on from there to kind of improving your project margins to the point that you are able to finally influence the EBITDA. Honestly, all the first to 7 points is basically contributing toward the overall EBITDA of the organization, right? And then just if you can go to the next slide, please. Right. We see that the organizations who are successful or are relatively more mature, they basically track this KPI called revenue per employee, right? And the top 51% basically show that they have lesser number of projects cancelled or overrun, or projects that get into the overrun situation, and on an average, the margin that they track across each of the projects is much higher than the average. Right. So I think that this is basically a testimonial to the point that these processes and your ability to manage your projects is very important for us. And fundamentally, these technologies that we're going to talk about would be one of the key enablers for you. Go ahead, please. So last but not the least, I think I would leave you and then hand over to Alok from here. But fundamentally, as we go forward, we will touch upon various aspects of project lifecycle, right? I'm sure that none of this is rocket science to you. Everybody knows about it, but just putting it up on a slide makes sure that your mind is together thinking on the same subject. So project lifecycle, the way we look at it is right from the point you have the lead, right, to which is the business development, to the point that you are able to generate revenue out of it. And that entire cycle really goes through the aspects of quotations, making sure that you have the right contract set up, and those contracts are then fundamentally connected to your financials and connected to the resourcing that happens to the projects, right? And then you get into the act of really monitoring your time and expenses, and fundamentally, once you're able to deliver the project, you get into the client billing aspects, right? So that's basically the life cycle of the projects and the various aspects that we would try to touch upon during this discussion. Hopefully, as I said again, this would be an interesting discussion for you. With that, I think I'll hand it over to Alok. Alok, I hope I have not taken more than the time allocated to me.
Thanks, Kapil. Thank you so much. And you have really helped us in I think we are having some echo. Is it my voice audible? Okay, now it's better. So thank you, Kapil. Thank you so much. And you have very well articulated the overall scenario of project management. And what we are going to do now onwards is to give the team a brief perspective of what all are the challenges we face and how these challenges can be better addressed using solution from Microsoft and SA Global. Typically, when we look after a project management scenario, especially when we talk about professional services industry, as Kapil has just mentioned, we are in a different phases. Few organizations are a bit mature, few organizations are using technology, but overall project is a niche area and still it needs lot of transformation, especially when we talk about the current scenario where a lot of people are working from home. Monitoring and managing projects become far more critical. Request for my slide, please. So if we look at how this next slide, if you look at how these projects are being managed traditionally and what is the right way of managing projects. When I'm saying right way of managing projects, it is more about what would be the modern way of managing projects. So typically, if we bifurcate these two things into the current scenario or a standard scenario, how projects are being monitored, typically what we try to do is we try to create a schedule. We use either we use Excel sheets for that, or we may use project Microsoft project as a tool, as a desktop solution, which helps us to create a project plan, identify resources, allocate those tasks and activities to those resources, and then we try to drive the work. Now, the challenge what happens while doing these kind of program management is that we set up a PMO team, and this PMO team is a group of project managers who are typically working on getting the updates on tasks and activities assigned to various stakeholders. Now, what happens is while doing those kind of activities, this PMO team is most of the time trying to capture the information and they try to share it with the management team. Now, what happens is because they are not sharing the right information or probably the live information on how the project is progressing, most of the time, what is being presented to the management and what is the actual scenario at the project site or from a project scenario perspective, there is a gap. And that is something which needs to be addressed, because when we talk about a modern project lifecycle management solution, or when we talk about a digital transformation in project, we would like to have all the stakeholders having clear visibility on how the project is progressing. And when we are saying how the project is progressing, they wanted to know if there are any risk or issues involved in the delivery of the project, if there are any challenges which needs to be addressed at various point of time, so that they are not going to do a post-mortem analysis of these projects. What if the team or the management gets the clear visibility on the issues and risk, or any issue which can be raised at a later stage, if they have a clear visibility on those, and if they act on that prior to things happening, will definitely help them to deliver those KPIs which has been addressed to those people. And for a successful delivery of a project, it is very important that at any point of time, we have a complete control of the projects what we are delivering. And that is something which is the backbone of any delivery. Now, as Kapil has just mentioned, the other challenges is how we are collaborating between plan, build, and operate and maintain scenario. The other big challenge when we talk about managing projects is that how we are collaborating as a team. When we say collaboration, this collaboration need to be the 3 or 4 different stakeholder of the project. It can be the management team, it can be the delivery team, it can be the services team, or it can be the external consultants team. So how we are collaborating so that at any point of time, if somebody has to dig on any data related to the project, do we have a single site or a single document management system built into it? Not only that, other challenges most of the time is around how we are integrating with the existing application. These applications can be our backend operational applications. So this complete scenario raises an importance of a complete enterprise project and portfolio management solution. And next slide, please. And this is something which we or various research analysis has also mentioned during various research, that since we are not, or the organizations, if they are not having a complete enterprise project portfolio management solution with them, most of the time their best resources are working on low priority projects, or there are high priority projects which needs an immediate attention, but since they are not being managed properly, most of the time the project does not meet their KRA, which means that either we are not doing the right projects or we are not doing the projects right. We all are doing projects. We all know how these projects need to be delivered. But is there a way where technology can help us in executing those projects? And when we are saying technology can help us, we are just trying to ensure that we have all the ingredients or the supportive system available with us, which help us to do a proactive decision making, which helps us to have a complete dashboard view for each and every stakeholder who is responsible for the delivery of those projects. And these people can be the project manager, these people can be the team members, people can be the management team. So based on their KRAs or their roles and responsibilities, everybody would like to have their own dashboard so that they don't need to go back to a PMO office or the project managers to have a visibility on the project. The other challenge that we face when we talk about a professional organization is a linkage between the time spent on a project and the time which is being billed to the customers. And we have seen, since there is no integrated tool for that, that also leads to a revenue leakage, which I'm sure all the professional organizations want to stitch in. So there are multiple factors which totally impact on the delivery of these projects. And here what we are trying to discuss today is to see how technology, when we talk about technology, what is that Microsoft brings on the table and SA Global brings on the table to stitch all these and makes it a complete enterprise project portfolio management system. Next slide, please. In this particular slide, I'm just trying to give you an overview of what all things we need when we talk about managing projects in a enterprise project portfolio management solution. So when we deliver these projects, a typical thing comes as program management. In all professional services organization, we might be working on different kind of projects, but all of us are working in silos. There are different teams working, but they don't have a clear visibility in terms of what all programs, what all projects we are doing. So what if we have a complete project program management available with us, which can help us to do a complete demand management? When we talk about demand management, it is more about aligning the best resources or aligning the available resources with the best project or the strategic projects what we are delivering. We all know while delivering these projects, maybe we are working on 100+ projects, but there are some strategic projects which needs attention from management, which needs attention from the best resources. That doesn't mean that all these projects are not important, but yes, we need to do a demand management to ensure that we are facing or we are delivering what all is required from our side. Not only that, we are delivering the best out of what all resources we have. So demand management is a crucial solution which we need to have. Similarly, we talk about portfolio analysis. As long as we are using a platform and this platform becomes a complete solution for us, anything and everything which is happening, if that is happening through the tool, we can create different kind of portfolios and dashboards. So this slicing and dicing of this data can really help us to address any query or address any issue which comes in, which means that all the stakeholders, they don't need to go back to different stakeholders, but they will have a complete visibility within the system, and they can further drill down on each and every activity, what all needs their attentions, and these dashboards or portfolios can be created based on the roles and responsibilities of these users. Let's say, for example, the CFO of an organization. They are more concerned about the account receivable and the billing, what is happening. So they are more interested in the various milestones which we are doing while delivering a project and when the invoices is going to be done. Similarly, a project operation guy or the CEO of an organization is concerned about the high visibility projects which are getting executed. He needs to have a clear update in terms of the progress, how the projects are happening. So all those things can be done through a portfolio management system. Not only that, these days, in fact, the customer also wants to have their own dashboard so that they can also monitor the progress. So all those things are very important, and the tool like the solution what we are presenting has those ingredients inbuilt into it. The other key factor is time reporting or the timesheet management. Most of the time, all these resources who are working on delivering these projects, they are either updating the task and activities through an Excel sheet or through an email or through other medium. What if we have an inbuilt timesheet management system so that at any stage when a project plan has been created or a work breakdown structure has been created, all the resources who has been allocated these tasks, what if they have their own system so that at any point of time, once the task has been completed, they are just updating it into the system. And there are multiple mediums now. We don't need to go back into the system and do all these activities. We have different kind of mobile app where the users can update the task and activity. But the benefit what it brings in is that we have a single source of truth, which means that any issue and risk which is going to impact the delivery of the project is captured through the system, and system can notify all the milestone, all the issues and the risk which can create an impact on the delivery of the project. And these issues and risks can be the governance risk or the availability of the resources, anything and everything. So this helps us to do a proactive analysis of these projects rather than doing a firefighting scenario where something has went wrong and we are trying to address that. It makes a complete system far more streamlined. The other challenge what we face while delivering these projects is that since there are multiple teams, multiple resources working on these projects, there is a big challenge in terms of collaboration. So what if a system brings its own document management? What if a system can help us to coordinate between different teams through a channel like Teams? A team which has been assigned on a project can collaborate very easy through a system like Teams, where they don't need, they all are working from home and they are all discussing on these projects. They are working on different kind of timelines. So all that collaboration can be done using Microsoft Office 365. The other challenge what we face is that how we are going to integrate with our backend application. There are situations where customers are using Dynamics. There are situations where customers are using third-party applications. These can be their backend operational applications. So the importance of a digital transformed system is that at any point of time, we don't need to go back to multiple systems to collect the information. The system should be capable enough to have a complete integrated application. So this tool brings all those things on the table. The other challenge when we deliver these kind of project is from a stage where we are creating a project or when we are responding to an RFP or preparing a proposal. So from that stage to a delivery stage, we need a lot of data which needs to be flowing in from a financial management system, from a resource management system, from a CRM system. So all those things, the system has built-in KPI available, which can help them to integrate with all these applications. The other challenge what Kapil mentioned, and this is something which is really true, we all are working in very, very difficult times. And we all need to ensure that we meet all the KRAs, including the profitability of these projects. Now, how we can ensure that this profitability is maintained at each and every stage of the delivery. So the system has an inbuilt financial management, which helps us to capture all the budgets once they are approved from the backend operational financial system. From there to the delivery at each and every stage, system can help us to create a dashboard in terms of how we are performing against the cost. And is there something we can do as a project manager, as a program manager, or as a management team that we can cut short on the cost piece? And it is really important because most of the time at the time of bidding, the cost what has been entered while responding to an RFP and what cost built up while we are delivering the project, most of the time there's a huge gap into it, which impacts on the profitability. So this particular solution will help us to address all those challenges around that. The other biggest challenge is the resource management piece. We all know that the resources would be captured through our HR system, but do we have a mechanism where we have a real-time visibility of all these resources? What kind of projects they are working on? What kind of experience they have? Do they have done a similar kind of project earlier? And if they have a similar kind of experience, can we pull them to this particular project which we are working? From a cost perspective, what is the billable cost of each project manager or all the resources what we are deploying for this project? So all those permutation combination can be easily done because we have a complete robust resource management system built into the application. And then last but not the least is the schedule management piece. So we need to have a strong scheduling engine built into it. So this solution, what we are talking about, has an inbuilt Microsoft project scheduling engine, which helps us to create different kind of schedule. So in a totality, if we look at when we talk about operation and delivery scenario of a project, these all are the key ingredients which are required to ensure that we deliver our projects well within the time, well within the budget, well within the resources, and we are doing an optimum utilization of resources. And for that, we need a tool like this, which can help us in addressing all the requirements. Next slide, please. So when we talk about a solution like this, we need to ensure that we are capturing the data from an ideation stage. Ideation stage is more towards responding to an RFP, what kind of data has been filled into it, and then to a planning stage where we are talking about creating schedule, creating a project plan, allocating resources, and then to an execution stage. And the backbone again is the collaboration insights, which is in terms of dashboards and extensibility in terms of integrated it with any third party application. Next slide, please. So overall, when we talk about delivering a project, we have highlighted on all these factors. And this is something which makes it a complete end-to-end solution if we are taking care of all these things which needs to be captured well in time. And what I'm trying to do now is what we have discussed is more about what all are the challenging while delivering a project. What if we have a complete document management system, a very well integrated application, how we can ensure that we are collaborating very well with stakeholders. They can be our internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders. Is it possible? Can we create a complete dashboard view of all these stakeholders based on their roles and responsibilities? So we have discussed a lot about what all is required. I do have with me Priya, where we are trying to showcase all these areas and how the solution like Microsoft can help us in addressing all these. So what we are going to do now is we are going to pick up some live scenarios and we will try to highlight how these scenarios are mapped while using this solution. So typically when we talk about delivering a project, the first thing which comes to our mind is, do we have a system which can help us to deliver projects or to create project in a very well formed manner so that we can capture all the things what we have as a template or what we have put in as a data when we were responding to an RFP. So Priya, I would request if you can just share us how a project creation happens in the application.
Sure, Alok, most definitely. Let me quickly share my application. I will just share my application. Let me know if you're able to see it.
Yeah, Priya, we can see it now.
Okay, great. So over here, as you mentioned rightly, Alok, it's a challenge often when you are trying to create a a complete WBS or all of the work breakdown structure for your RFP. Generally, what we've seen in the application is very easy to maintain this. If you have repeated a similar kind of request that's coming in or a proposal, you can create a templatized view like this, and you can just quickly do at a click of a button, you can just import that into this entire quotation, and it should be available to you. So it's that way you can cut down on time on repeatedly importing instead of manually creating it, you can quickly import it from a template. I'll quickly move on to a place where you have a confirmed, quotation, where you have all of the WBS. You have specified all of the activities that's going into the quotation as to what are the resourcing. I mean, of course, you will have only the planned resourcing roles that you will be mentioning over here. Once you have updated all of this information and you've gone through all of the quotation process of sending the quotation, winning it, and all of that, right? Then when it comes to moving this data over to a project, it's very simple. It's just with a click of a button that all of this data, it just gets moved over. All you have to do is follow a simple wizard where you can say you're going to create a new project or an existing project. In my case, I will look at a new project, choose a few of the mandatory fields, that is whether what is the type of a project, whether it's a time and material or a fixed price project that you're looking at. And if you are looking at any existing contracts, you can use that, which kind of defines your billing schedules and all of that. So you can pick up that, and all you get is all of your WBS lines are available to you, or your quotation lines are available to you to just go through and go on to form a forecast in your new project. All right. Similarly, I'll just click on next. It's processing. So this kind of gives you a summary of total how many projects have been created, how many hour forecasts have been created, and you can just click on finish. This way, all of the data that you entered in your quotation will still follow through right up to your project. So when the salespeople hand it over to the project team, the project team already has the project created with all of the relevant data that was submitted along with the RFP. I hope that answers the question,
Yes,
Alok.
Priya, I
Over
think
to you again. Yeah.
yeah, this is really good, and I see this as a big challenge while delivering a project. And this is something which we were talking about, like collaboration, how we can collaborate between the data when an RFP is being responded and when we are creating a project. So this
Sure.
is really nice. Another challenge, Priya, what we face while delivering a project is how we are planning it. So while is there something you can showcase how this project planning happens? And when we talk about project planning, how we create a work breakdown structure, how we identify different kind of milestone, and the resource allocation. So if you can just give us a brief view about project planning, that would be really helpful.
Sure, Alok. On the project planning, what we have got is I'm still on the project which was created through from the project quotation through the wizard. We're still here. When I go to the WBS, you're able to see the entire WBS. I hope I'm audible still.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sure. So you can see that the all of the WBS activities are available. If there is anything that needs to be updated over here, you can quickly do an update or change any of this. So that way, none of all of the changes that you make on the project will remain over here. You'll just to keep, you'll have to publish this version every time you update this. So this planning not only helps you, give timelines as to what is your start date of your task, end date of your task, but also helps you kind of schedule it one after the other, simply just like the way it does in MS Project Online. You'll be able to add how many resources you would require, what's the role that you would require. So this kind of gives you a complete planning of your entire project, not just the effort, it also gives you a planning in terms of what's the value of each of these activities that you will be doing in the project you'll be having. Each of it is a value. The important aspect of this is later on, when you have your actuals being booked against this, you'll be able to track the total effort spent on it or the cost spent on it. We'll come to that in a while, probably sometime later. But then this is pretty much on the WBS. Another important point that I just wanted to mention, Alok, is many of that you've seen do use Project Online as well. So there is a a good linkage. But right now I've gone ahead and created the WBS over here, but you have a good linkage to the Microsoft project as well. You can import the WBS from Microsoft project as well if you're used to that, more familiar with that, and then still carry on with the project module, which is there in Dynamics.
I think this is really important because most of us who all are project managers are quite familiar with Microsoft Project Online
That's
or
right.
a project desktop client as a scheduling. So this is something which is really helpful. And I guess we also have a templatized view where all the stakeholders or all the program managers, if they are working on a similar kind of project, they can pick up a template, and from that template they can again build up their entire plan. So they don't need to reinvent the wheel, but they can pick up similar kind of projects what has already been done. I think, Priya, you have really helped us in understanding this on how project planning happens. The other big challenge what we face as a project manager is while delivering a project, we need to identify resources. Most of the time we have our resources available, but this data comes on from our backend HR application. And this data is more in terms of the name of the person, his technical skills, and in some cases we also have their cost piece. But do we have something as a resource management where we can have a complete resources available with us? And since these resources would definitely be working on some other projects, so do we have some mechanism where we have a clear visibility in terms of who all are available, what time of the day they are available, or how many hours they are available, what is the cost aligned to these resources? So if you can just help us with some understanding on the resource management piece, I think that would really help us.
Sure, Alok, definitely. Let me, as I'm sharing the screen and still on the same project, what I have done is, let me just quickly show you that. We have got the entire WBS right over here on the work breakdown structure. Let me go back over there. And I did mention that we have got all of the roles that we've identified that needs to be fulfilled. So what I'm going to do is go into a resource over here and say I will just auto-generate the team. As you see, the moment I do an auto-generate based on the roles, these are the planned resources that are that get generated. And this is now my project team, those planned resources. So let's just allow the system to create the team. It just takes a couple of seconds. Once it creates the team, then we can go into the resourcing section where we'll be able to pull in the resources. I mean, look at the resources that are available to execute the project. Sorry, my bad, I have not clicked on yes. So we will be able to pull in these resources and based on their availability, of course. So let me just close this UI. Go into the team and scheduling tab. Over here you have a team and scheduling tab on the project wherein you have the ability to fulfill resources. So for a software developer over here, I will just click on fulfill resources. And that takes me to a UI where you get the whole list of resources where you have some of the resources being partially used or fully available. All of that details is available to you. So resources available over here, as you see, right, is based on the role that has been associated with the resource. So Aaron Khan is a project manager, and based on that, you see that for this week, he has fully booked. So a little on the top, you will be able to see all of the legends where if it's blank, it's available, with striped, it's partially available. So this legend kind of helps you understand as to which of the resources is available. And it's as simple as just clicking through the check boxes over here and saying, OK, you want to go ahead and book these resources. That's all that you need to do in order to fulfill this resource. This is one way of doing it. But as we also did mention, right, it's very important to have the right kind of resources in the right kind of projects in order to use them to make optimal usage of those resources. So I'd like to take you to another UI wherein on the we have a UI called as resource forecasting, wherein on a particular planned resource, wherein a resource is not yet fulfilled, you just have a role associated with it. you can just click on that particular role and say you are very particular about what are the skill sets that this developer should have. You probably want a .NET resource. So here, out of the list of the competencies, you choose just a few competencies and say these are the competencies that I want the resource to possess. Based on this, give me a skill matrix or a match or along with the availability as the inbuilt factor. So in that case, once you've specified those characteristics of what you want the resource to be, then you can click on, you can go to the resource fulfillment form. Over here, you will get a whole lot of resources. The only difference between that UI and this UI is that you'll be able to get a little more further information of what is the hours available, what's the match percentage based on all of the matrix that you have given. Based on that, it will choose a display all of the resources, not just from your current legal entity, but across the organization. Because as you mentioned, we are working from home and it is so important to get projects executed, and this travel is a restriction. So you probably use the resources that are there available, even though they belong to another entity of your own organization. So this way also you'll be able to go ahead and assign the resource and fulfill this resource requirement. Does that answer your question, Alok, or is there any
Yeah,
more?
Priya, I think this is really helpful because this is something which comes as a biggest challenge when we are doing resource management piece. Now, coming to the next stage, we have created a project plan, we have identified the resources, we have created a work breakdown structure, we have also aligned the task to the people. Now, the biggest challenge what happens is that most of the time these team members are working and updating the task, but do we have some system so that we have a clear cut timesheet management, which means that the team can update the task and activities, or in case they have some issues or they want some support from their management in terms of adding few more resources. So do we have some mechanism where these team members who have been allocated to these tasks can update their task and activities? This is one. Second thing, is it something which is linked to our backend financial system, so that from a timesheet picking which is happening from here to invoicing, is there something which we can create as a single solution so that the finance team can build all those resources which has been working on different kind of activities? So maybe if you can share something on that, that would be helpful.
Sure, most definitely. So let me quickly show that, yeah, the projects, you can book hours, you can book expenses, you can book timesheets, you can book all kinds of transactions. So for the purpose of our discussion today, let's just limit ourselves to timesheets right now. So I will just quickly show you how easy it is to create a timesheet. So this timesheet, what I enter over here, I can book my time across multiple projects over here. And at the same time, as I based on the pricing that's set up for me for each of these, against each of these projects, gets populated in the backend. And as and when I update the timesheets or post these timesheets, that's the financial update that is happening. That's on the cost side of the project. Okay, these are all the project costs because the resource working on the project. But what you're going to be billing to the customer is going to be a separate story that we'll come to it in a while. Over here, as you see, you can have book for your own current legal entity. I'm logged in the company called as USSI, whereas I have spent a little bit of time on another company as well. So that another company's project as well, that can also be entered over here. Meanwhile, let me just quickly create another line over here to show you how easy it is to choose a project and enter those lines as well. All right, so you have the capability of choosing the project, whatever specific activity, and also putting in the comments as well. So I just choose one project from here, go ahead and update the hours. As hours, I scroll down and then I can give what is this 2 hours been spent on. Has it been spent? Oh, sorry, I've lost the focus there. Yeah, I just have to keep the focus there, and then I can send preparing project charter, probably whatever is the task that I have been doing. I save it, and I can go ahead and submit this to workflow. So this is on the application. You also have a Power App using which you can do the same. You can go ahead and create an ad time per day, similar kind of a UI experience you get over here. So you've got a project. You can choose the project over here. And I am saying, yeah, there you go. There's my project. I just can choose what activities are there. Out of that, I can choose which activity I would like to book my time against, and what's the hours over here, whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever be it. And again, be able to enter all of my comments that I would like to enter. Once I save this, I do have the ability to go ahead and submit this to workflow as well for approvals. So it's so important. I did miss out one field. It's so important to kind of have, timesheets that you can quickly fill up on the go. Not necessarily log into the system. You can just sit down on on your couch as well and quickly fill up the timesheets. And that's when timesheets on a mobile is very useful, is what we think. So going on to the timesheets is where you will be able to go ahead and submit your timesheets to workflow approval. The same behavior you can see in both applications. Also, Alok, your second question was mainly on the billing of these activities, right? As to how you are going ahead and billing all of the project transactions. So let me just quickly, before I run through till the project billing, let me just tell you what governs the entire billing is the contract management that is available in the application. All right, so let me just quickly bring up the contracts where you've got this is my contract over here, and you have got all of the details of what is your billing, whether it's a billing cycle, whether it's a weekly frequency, monthly frequency. You also have the ability of defining whether it's a milestone-based billing or it's a progress-based billing. Different billing methods are available to you. Rules are available to you based on which you will bill the customer. However, we've seen that it's a very common scenario to have more than in some of the organizations or some of the industries, I must say, there is more than just one person who's acting as a client. So you'll probably have to, it's funded by more than one client. So in that case, we call that as a contract which is funded by more than one funding source or more than one customer. In that case, there is a clear split in which you will be raising the invoice as well, or you'll probably, one of the customers says, okay, up to 50% I will cover, or I want the billing around 25% goes to the first customer, and the other customer takes about 70% of the billing. So that way, the application is so well designed that an invoice amount of 1,000 is split between these two customers as 75 and 750 and 250 if it's $1,000 invoice. That goes in very well in the 75-25% as well. So this contract management contract is what is the governing principle between behind any project invoices that are being raised. So moving on to the invoice itself. So what I can quickly demonstrate to you is how you can generate the invoice, not just go ahead and print it and then send it over to the customer. You also have the immediate capability of sending over the customer, sending over the invoice to the customer as well. So let me just check over here. Let me click on invoice proposal and see if there is any transactions that's ready for invoicing. So over here, yes, I do have a couple of transactions, couple of R journals that's been posted against this particular project. So I'll just choose these two. Okay. And go ahead and say, so this is my 2,750 is my invoice amount. So over here, I go on and quickly post this to show you that, yes, we can post it, but while posting it, you can also send this as an email. This is a pro forma check. You just see whether the invoice is right, and then you can go on and preview this as well. You can you can send this as an email to the customer directly. The addresses over here, email addresses can be set up in such a way that it can default from the customer as well. Right now in this, since you asked me the question, I have not yet got the setups done, but that's something which is definitely doable as well.
I
Okay,
think, Priya,
that's
this
pretty
is
good.
really helpful, and I know we have a very limited time to showcase
Right.
all these functionalities, but I would really appreciate the way you have been able to help us navigating through different features and functionality. So one thing more which we face as a challenge is in terms of analytics. And when we talk about analytics, we say we are using a platform and we have all the data available, and we want to do a real-time analysis of the data. So it would be really helpful if you can just share how this dashboards look like. Let's say, for example, if we are talking about a scenario where we are talking in terms of the budgets versus actuals, or a practice manager dashboard or a program manager dashboard. So I think that would also help our team to have more understanding in terms of how we can do the slicing and dicing of the data available with us, and how these real-time dashboards can help us to address the challenges.
Sure.
Alok,
Sure.
just before you go there, there are a couple of questions which are there from the attendees. I think it might be worthwhile just quickly touching on them.
Sure.
Nikhil. Nikhil.
I can read out the questions. Sure, just give me 1 second. So the first.
You want me to take the questions?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a question. Any of our three speakers can take this up. Is there any module in this application on operation and maintenance of plant and equipment? If yes, what are the features available in this module?
So I will take this question. Maybe I can give you more perspective, and definitely we would love to interact with you in a separate session. We would be keen to showcase you the functionality. But yes, when we talk about operation and maintenance, since here we are talking about a typical professional services organization scenario. Let's say, for example, a project where we are talking about building up a large project, and we want to do a scenario where we are not talking only about plan, build, but operate and maintain scenario. So the project management solution, what we are talking about is from planning to building and operation to maintenance. So one small scenario is like how we are capturing and doing the preventive and calendar based maintenance. So the system has a capability to showcase all the dates or filter out all the dates which needs, or the equipments where they need some preventive maintenance. System has a capability to raise a request for some equipments which needs to be ordered before that. So so what will happen is, let's say, for example, if we have a preventive maintenance, we can order, or the system can help us in having some artificial intelligence. They can help us to give more understanding in terms of what all equipment needs to be changed, and they can also check if those equipments are available in the tool, and in case that needs to be ordered proactively, it can also raise a trigger to the supply chain management team, so that by the time that stage reaches, we have all the equipment or all the resources available with us. But definitely we can have a separate session, or we will love to connect with you guys to share the capabilities of the solution. Next question.
Thank you so much. The next question is, are the other Microsoft applications like MSD, HRMS, financials also been part of these unified set of tools?
So Kapil and Priya, maybe you can answer on this.
Sure. So if I'm getting the question right, you want to know whether this is HRMS, all of the remaining solutions are also part of the unified solution. If that's the case, yes, we do have all of HRMS and all of the capabilities within the application that I'm showing right now. but also we do, Microsoft does provide as well specific solutions around HRMS as a separate app as well, around project operations as well as a separate app. So what we are seeing today is the Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics D365 F&O application, which has HR, all of the base modules included in it as of today.
Or the other way to answer your question is that yes, the solution has all those capabilities built into it, which is the backend operational application requirement, be it finance, be it HR, be it supply chain management or CRM. But this is a granular approach. So in case the customer has some backend operational application, the system is capable enough to integrate it with those applications, and they also have a choice to pick up the application from the boutique solution what we have as an offering. Next question, Ankita.
Thank you so much. The next question we have is, what's the tool we are referring to? Is this custom software developed?
So this is a standard solution built on Dynamics 365. So what approach Microsoft is taking when it comes to project, I'm sure most of the audience are aware of that. So we are talking about 3 different kind of scenarios, and Microsoft brings a solution for all of them. The first one, if we talk about modern work, when we talk about modern work, we have lot of people who are working on projects, but they are not the PMP certified. So all those accidental project managers who are involved in delivering a project, we have a solution for them, which is Project on Web or a modern work management. Then we have a solution which is Project Online, which is a complete end-to-end project and portfolio management solution. And the third solution what we have as an offering is Project Operation, which goes deep into the solution piece, which needs to be addressed, like the billing part or the invoicing part or the resource management part or the contract management part. So the solution what we are demonstrating right now is Dynamics 365, which has all those capabilities, and this is a complete end-to-end solution on Dynamics platform.
Okay, we have one more question. Does MS Projects supports agile project delivery?
Yes.
And can MS Projects replace I think JIRA, and
Jira.
what features of Jira will not be available here?
So maybe Priya, you can explain and answer this question.
Sure, Alok. So sorry, Ankita, you might have to repeat that question. I just missed a few sentences there.
Sure, no issues. Does MS Projects support agile project delivery? And can MS Projects replace Jira? And what features of Jira will not be available here?
So I think from the MS Projects perspective, yes, whatever you've got features of MS Projects, you should be using it over here. Also, we've given you the Microsoft is giving you the capability of integrating your online project WBS as well within the solution that we're looking at. Can it replace Jira? Depends on the usage of Jira in your case, but you can use some of the case management functionality that is available within the application in order to use that. I'm not too fully sure about the Jira's capabilities. If there is something.
Maybe I can add there. So
sure, Kapil, please.
Actually, Jira handles only the kind of the execution part of project management, and typically helps largely onto the case management side, and also in terms of agile projects. So I think the question is more related to the agile project management, which Jira handles. Yes, that can be handled definitely into the Dynamics 365. In fact, what Dynamics 365 also offers you is the ability to connect your project execution, resource allocation directly to your kind of the complete resource capability within the organization, and map that further on to the financials of your company.
Yep.
Okay, so when you the direct, for example, the direct cost of an employee and the overall cost of a project within Jira would need to get integrated through a financial management system, if at all you are operating Jira in an integrated environment. But typically what we have seen is Jira is only used for project management, and then the financials stay in a separate system, right, or on a system like PeopleSoft in some places, or maybe Oracle or others, or any other traditional ERP system. The typical connect is not there. Dynamics basically offers you the capability to run these projects on an ERP platform with complete support of financials, as well as integrated HRMS that somebody else asked on this forum.
Thank you all our speakers. Those were the questions that we had received live on today's webinar.
Okay, so I think we've already run 5 minutes over, and we've not been able to cover the business intelligence part of the solution. But I guess this is something that we will probably try to convey in the other sessions as well. I think I would like to just respect the time that we have today and thank everyone who has joined the call, guys. If there is any questions, if there are any queries, please do feel free to reach out to the team here, and we will definitely get back to you. And hopefully we would see much better connections with all of us here on the call going forward. Thank you, Alok and Priya, for running this session. Thank you, guys.
Sure. Thank you, Kapil.
Thank you.
I
Thanks,
think
everyone.
just to add a couple on the BI part of it, it's available on the slide deck just in case the participants would like to see it as well. It's we did anticipate that we might run out of time, so all of the BI capabilities, whatever is there, we put that in the slide deck as well.
Brilliant.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you all our speakers. It was indeed a very informative and interesting session. Before we conclude, I would like to thank all our attendees today in the audience for attending today's webinar. And thank you for all our speakers once again. We had truly valuable takeaways from this session. We will now conclude with this session. Today's session wouldn't have been a success without the active participation of all our esteemed speakers and delegates. I would like to thank each one of you for taking time out and being a part of this virtual conference today. A special thanks to our partners Microsoft India and SA Global for their support in this initiative, without whom this conference wouldn't have been possible. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone. Good day.